If you look at the numbers behind incontinence in women, it's hard to believe just how big an issue it is. Incontinence affects more women than diabetes, breast cancer, and heart disease, but it doesn't get nearly the attention it deserves. That's why the National Association for Continence has created the We Count campaign to help you realize that this isn't just a you problem, it's an us problem. There are treatments available right now that can make a real difference in your life, and we invite you to take action today. Visit nafc.org/we-count for essential facts, insights, and resources on stress and urge incontinence, overactive bladder, menopause-related leakage, and more. That's nafc.org/we-count to learn more and discover that there truly is strength in numbers.
Welcome to Life Without Leaks, a podcast by the National Association for Continence. NAFC is America's leading advocate for people with bladder and bowel conditions, with resources, connections to doctors, and a welcoming community of patients, physicians, and caregivers, all available at nafc.org. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Bruce Cassover, and today we're going to be talking about home remedies for urinary tract infections, how you can get rid of that burning feeling for good, and even better, stop them from happening in the first place. NAFC recently conducted a survey that asked people how they were dealing with urological conditions during the pandemic, and one surprising finding was that many of you reported an increase in urinary tract infections. We don't know why more frequent UTIs are happening. Maybe it's stress, maybe a decrease in personal grooming or changes to your diet, but we do know that UTIs can be annoying, painful, and increase incontinence or bladder leaks. UTIs usually occur when foreign bacteria enters the urinary tract, usually from the bowel, and they can happen to both men and women. In fact, about 60% of women and 12% of men will have at least one UTI in their lifetime. If you've ever had one, you'll recognize the symptoms immediately. Burning sensations when you pee, cramping, frequent trips to the bathroom, strong-smelling pee that can appear cloudy or dark, and a feeling of not quite being able to empty your bladder. What's even more annoying is that for some people, they happen with a good degree of frequency. Now, the standard treatment for a UTI is pretty straightforward. An antibiotic usually clears it up in a few days. But an in-person visit to your doctor to get a diagnosis and a prescription is probably not something you're really looking forward to. Of course, it's usually worth it because antibiotics do the trick. They're far and away the fastest and most effective way to treat your UTIs, but even they don't come with guarantees. Sometimes they just don't work, and even when they do, they can sometimes have side effects like rashes, nausea, and diarrhea that you'd prefer to avoid. The good news is that there are some great home remedies that may be worth giving a try. First of all, drink lots of water. Drinking water and emptying your bladder when you need to will help flush out harmful bacteria from your system. You may be a little hesitant to drink very much because of the burning sensation you have when you pee, but trust us on this. Getting in those 8 glasses a day will do you a world of good. You can also incorporate foods that have a high water content like watermelon, oranges, lettuce, and soup. That doesn't mean you should stop drinking water throughout the day too. A good rule of thumb is that if you wait until you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. Speaking of beverages, you've probably heard that you should drink plenty of cranberry juice when you have a UTI. It's been home wisdom for generations. The research is actually not quite as definitive as your grandmother might have you believe, though. But there are some studies that have shown cranberries can make it harder for bacteria that cause UTIs to stick to the walls of the urinary tract. It's not quite a remedy, but if you frequently get UTIs, it's probably not a bad idea to consider a couple of glasses of unsweetened cranberry juice a day. After all, if nothing else, you're helping to keep yourself hydrated. If juice isn't your thing, you could also try snacking on the actual fruit, either whole or dried, but no matter how you get your cranberry fix, remember to keep it unsweetened. Added sugars can actually make your UTI worse. When it comes to food, you might also want to give probiotics a try. Introducing a probiotic to your system may help replenish the naturally occurring healthy bacteria that live in your gut. It's thought that probiotics may also prevent harmful bacteria from attaching to urinary tract cells, and they might even lower the pH of your urine, which makes it less hospitable to harmful bacteria. Plus, if you've taken an antibiotic to treat a UTI, taking a probiotic is a great way to build back up the healthy bacteria that may have been killed during your course of treatment. You could find probiotics in supplement form, often capsules, and they occur naturally in some types of food like yogurts, kombucha, and kefir. Another dietary choice that's worth considering is garlic. It turns out that garlic doesn't just ward off vampires. A recent study showed that garlic extract may be effective in reducing the bacteria that cause UTIs. Vitamin C is worth giving a shot too. Not only does it help strengthen your immune system, it may also acidify your urine, which can limit the growth of some bacteria and prevent UTIs from occurring. Just be careful of eating too many acidic foods when you have a UTI because they can irritate your bladder, which would only make symptoms worse. It's not just acidy foods either. There are a bunch of foods that are known to be bladder irritants, acids like citrus, of course, but also artificial sweeteners, caffeine, alcohol, even chocolate. They can all irritate your bladder, leading to bladder leaks. And if you currently have a UTI, they can affect you even more. If you visit us online at nafc.org, you can find a pretty detailed list of irritants to avoid or cut back on, and we'll leave a link to that in the show notes. Now, as far as behaviors go, right at the top of the list is that you should go to the bathroom when your body tells you. Holding it in is awful for UTIs. Bacteria love it when you don't go frequently enough, because that gives time for any of them in your bladder to grow and multiply. In fact, going when you need to isn't only helpful if you have an active infection, it could also help prevent bacteria from gaining hold in the first place. Along the same lines, you should be sure to pee after you've had sex, because that can wash out harmful bacteria before it has a chance to spread. Another good preventive measure is to wipe from front to back. Remember how we mentioned that many UTIs develop from the spread of bacteria that came from the bowel? Wiping in the wrong direction is one of the main ways they get there. Almost as important as treating the UTI itself is treating the symptoms that come along with it, especially the pain. Fortunately, there are some things you can do to help ease discomfort while you treat the underlying infection. Wearing loose clothing is a good place to start. Your goal is to prevent moisture from accumulating in the pelvic region, which could make your infection worse. Look for clothes made from cotton or other natural materials because they're especially good at keeping moisture at bay and helping you feel comfortable. Applying heat is another good idea. A heating pad, a warm washcloth, or a hot water bottle on your bladder or pelvic area can really be soothing when you're feeling pain or discomfort down there, and there's nothing wrong with a warm bath either. Finally, an over-the-counter pain reliever can also be useful to temporarily relieve the pain caused by a UTI. But you really should check with your doctor first because some UTIs can turn into kidney infections, and in those cases you'll want to make sure you're not taking an NSAID like aspirin, ibuprofen, or naproxen because they can make the infection worse. Now, home remedies may be worth trying out, but there are still times when it's absolutely best to see a doctor. If your symptoms last more than a few days with no signs of improvement, or if your infection keeps recurring, it's time to make an appointment. Sure, it's an inconvenience, but it's more than made up for by the fact that your doctor can get your UTI straightened out right away, save you from lasting discomfort, and prevent your infection from getting worse. Life Without Leaks has been brought to you by the National Association for Continence. Our music is Rainbows by Kevin MacLeod. More information about NAFC is available online at nafc.org.